Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Sunday, July the 27th. And welcome to our commentary. Well, we're traveling this weekend, a bit on the road, as they say, doing a little bit of family time, but enjoying ourselves, of course, as always. It's very hot here in Texas in general. I think anywhere you go, it's pretty hot. It's more humid in other areas, but it's hot overall. Well, a lot of things going on. Wanted to touch base on some things that are going on. You know, once upon a time, Sundays were generally quiet times when it came to politics. You had the NFL games, of course, during the football season, or the baseball games during the baseball seasons, but they were generally quiet. Everybody had not much to do on Sundays, but that's not the case anymore, at least in these first almost just a bit over 6 months of the Trump presidency. It's been very intense and accomplished in so many ways, and we'll get into that in a second. I do want to tell you one quick thing about this whole Russia, Obama, Brennan, Clapper, all this stuff that is going on. I do think some bad things are going to be coming out. And but I would also caution everybody not to get too much ahead of yourselves, because you know there are some people out there who think that Obama is going to go to jail. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But I do think people like Brennan and perhaps Comey and Clapper could have some issues. What was done to President Trump was wrong, but I think everybody needs to slow down a little bit and let the facts speak for themselves, and they will. I do believe some information will be coming out, from what I understand, just from reading the same things that you are reading, and let's see where it goes. But everybody needs to just cool a little bit and let the facts speak for themselves, and don't get too passionate into a lot of what's going on. So just everybody needs to count to 10, and things will take care of themselves. Well, it's really been an amazing 3 or 4 days for commercial trade deals. And today, the president and the head of the European Union, President Trump and the head of the European Union, made an announcement that there was a trade deal between the European Union and the United States, a great trade deal from everything that I've seen, going to make it a heck of a lot easier for American companies to do business there. And of course, the Europeans will continue to do business here. So it's a good trade deal, I think, by all accounts. Everything I've seen, all the commentary I've heard, is that it's a good deal for both sides. And that's really what a trade deal should be all about. This comes on top of the Japan deal that was done a few days ago. That was a great deal for the United States. You know, Japan is a country that, you know, we do a lot of business with, but clearly they were doing more business here than we were doing there. So this trade deal, you know, balances those things out. So I think overall, President Trump should get a lot of credit for these trade deals. There are some credit deals that are still pending, or some trade deals that are still pending. Canada, I think that's going to be done fairly quickly, by the way, because, I mean, it's not much, really not much to argue there. I think the Canadians realize how important the American market is, and I think we realize how important Canada is. So I think that deal should be done fairly quickly. I don't know if it'll get done this next week, but it'll get done quickly. Also with Mexico, the same way. There's also one with China that I believe is just about finished. And I'm not sure about South Korea, if we have completed that one, but that's another extremely important one too. So I think things are lining up correctly with respect to these trade deals. And that's a victory for President Trump, because he's put a lot of emphasis on these trade deals in this first year of his presidency. So we congratulate President Trump on these deals. And as I said, I think there's more coming. There's more coming on this particular front. But this one with the European Union is really a good deal, because you know, the European Union is by itself, I think, the second largest market in the world. I mean, if you look at the United States and the European Union, you've got the two biggest markets of the world. And the fact that they're now doing business, we're doing business with the European Union in a more equitable way, I think that's an absolutely fabulous arrangement. And again, congratulations to President Trump and his team, and congratulations to the European Union and their team for working this out. I think everybody is going to be a lot happier with this. I have a post over at the American Thinker today talking about gerrymandering. For those of you who may not know what that is, gerrymandering is an old, I think it goes back to the 19th century. It's a word that has been used over the years to describe when the majority party in a state, whatever the state is, decides to draw up the congressional districts in such a way that it favors the majority party. This is as old as the oldest trick in the world. What you have is the majority will redesign or design the districts to maximize the position of one party or the other. And the Democrats are masters at this. I mean, just look at the situation in Illinois and look at the situation in Maryland, two very blue states that have gerrymandered or drawn up their districts in a way to benefit the Democrats. I mean, in Illinois, they have 17 congressional districts, and the delegation is 14 Democrats and 3 Republicans. 14-3. So 14 out of 17 districts go to the Democrats. But yet, if you look at the overall vote in the state, it's the Republicans will get between 40 and 45%, sometimes a little bit higher than that. So that's not, I mean, dividing the districts 14 out of 17 Democrats, that's not very democratic, is it? But that's how they do it. In Maryland, it's about the same. In Maryland, I think they've got 10 congressional districts, or 8, and they have eight Democrats and 2 Republicans, and the situation with the popular vote there is roughly the same. So the Democrats have used the gerrymandering trick to get more seats, if you will, out of Maryland and Illinois and California. I think they tried it in New York and whatever. And the net result is that they do it all the time. So the Republicans are now going to do it in Florida, in Texas, in Ohio, and they may even try it in other places as well. And the Democrats are screaming, you know, oh my God, it's the end of the world. It's not the will of the people. Well, it's just the way life is. So yes, the Democrats are going to suffer. They're going to suffer some losses in Florida. I think in Florida, it's already been done, by the way. And in Texas and in Ohio, there will be more Republican representatives, federal representatives, House of Representatives members in those states, because they're going to draw up the districts to favor the GOP. They're going to do the same thing the Democrats do it in their blue states. But that's just the way it is. That's the way it's always been. And there's another issue, too, that I think the Democrats are overlooking, and that is that what you're seeing in the United States is that the red states are getting redder and the blue states are getting bluer. So you have a situation where there are more and more state legislatures in the red states that are becoming more red. The other thing happening, too, and this you're going to see this more in the upcoming 2030 census, something like 12 to 15 seats are going to go from blue states to red states because of population shift. I mean, something like that happened in 2020. California, I think, lost 5 congressional districts. 4 came to Texas and 1 went somewhere else. And, Florida gained, I think it was 3 or 4 as well, all coming from states in the East. So clearly the Democrat states, the blue states, are losing population, which means they're losing federal seats. They're losing federal positions, if you will, in the House of Representatives. So that is the other thing that's happening. That's why you have more and more of these GOP majorities in places like Texas or Florida or so on. So really, but as far as gerrymandering itself, it's the oldest trick in the world. The Democrats have done it, but they're going to complain now, of course, because that's just what they do. But it's the oldest trick in the world, and you're going to see the Republicans probably pick up in total like 3 or 4 seats overall, or 5 seats overall, because of the way the districts have been drawn up or are going to be drawn up. And that's just the way it's always been done. There's nothing radically different here from what has happened in the past. So, but get ready for all the screaming, because it's coming, but it's going to happen because the Republicans have the majority in those states, just like the Democrats have the majority in those other states that we mentioned, Maryland, Illinois, and so on. Well, a brand new poll came out. Just wanted to leave you with this. A brand new poll came out. The Wall Street Journal poll came out, indicating that the Democrat Party has 35% approval among voters. And when you get into the issues, what you find is that more voters trust Republicans on issues than Democrats. All of the big issues, whether it's the economy, immigration, foreign policy, whatever, the voters, at least the voters of the Wall Street Journal poll, trust the Republican Party more than the Democrat Party, and they believe that the Democrats are out of touch with reality. They don't believe that the Democrats really are connected with reality. Now, we've been saying this for some time, and I think the 2024 election is a reflection of that. But you're seeing it more, I think, on immigration, for example. I think the Democrats are completely out of touch with what's happening in the country, for example, when it comes to that. Also, with respect to some of the identity policy issues or identity issues, whatever they call them, they're completely out of touch with that too. I mean, the public does not believe that a man should be competing as a woman, for example. That's a very simple issue that should not even be an issue. That should not even be a topic. And at one time, it wasn't a topic. You go back 10 or 15 years, that was not a topic because both sides understood that men and women were different biologically, and therefore they shouldn't be competing in sports. But again, the Democrats changed, and in doing so, they've become more disconnected with the country as a whole. And that's what's happening to them. And where are they going to go from here? I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go from here. I mean, and the only hope they have really at this point is that President Trump will drop the ball so much that he will make so many mistakes, that he will be such a horrible president that they can kind of sneak in and say, well, we can do better. That's about the only hope they have. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not saying Trump is going to have a perfect presidency either. That doesn't happen either. But I think Trump is off to a pretty good start. And if the Republicans can continue and maybe cut some taxes and cut some government spending and stick to that, I think they'll have a pretty good chance of keeping the House, which is critical. Keeping the House is critical for the Trump presidency, because if the Democrats take over the House, you can kiss any accomplishment away in the last 2 years of Trump. So I think it's important to keep the House. And I would say right now, it's a tough call this far ahead. I don't like predictions this far ahead. But the position of the Republicans is not that bad if you look at history for a party that is in power at the time. So anyway, just wanted to touch on those issues as another Sunday happens. And as I said before, once upon a time, Sundays were just a good time to watch sports and maybe get together with family. But these days, Sundays are a lot about politics. It seems like the politics doesn't go away in the Trump years. Thank you for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.